and welcome. Thank you for watching or listening to this candidate forum. This is one of several hour-long conversations between candidates running for a seat on the KPFA local board. My name is Vida Flores, and I'm from the League of Women Voters. I'm also here with Ann Laser from the League of Women Voters of Marin County. I'll be your moderator today, and Ann will be your timekeeper. KPFA is a listener-sponsored radio station, one of 5 stations of the Pacifica Network, the country's first and only independent national radio network. The views expressed during this program are those of the candidates, not of KPFA. All viable candidates have been invited to participate in this discussion. Our format today is that after each candidate introduces themselves, we will address one question to each candidate and then let each of the remaining candidates comment or follow up on that answer. Then each candidate will have a closing statement to make their case or why you should vote for them. All viable candidates have been invited. Our first introduction will be with Carol Wolfley.
Hi, thank you, Vida. I'm Carol Wolfley, and I'm Secretary of the KPFA Local Station Board and running for re-election. I'm on the National Programming Committee for Pacifica, and I do KPFA outreach work.
Thank you. Our next candidate is Marilyn.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Langlois, a co-founder of the Richmond Progressive Alliance. I'm also with the Haiti Action Committee and Task Force on the Americas, and I'm one of the Rescue Pacifica candidates for the KPFA Local Station Board.
Our third candidate today is Andrea.
Hi, I'm Andrea Turner, and I'm currently on the local station board. I've had the experience of being on the Pacifica National Board. I'm with a lot of community groups, and I'm looking forward to working with you.
Thank you. Our first question will be directed at Carol. Local station boards programming according to the Pacifica bylaws, one of the duties of the local station board is to work with station management to ensure that station policies and procedures for making programming decisions and for program evaluation are working in a fair, collaborative, and respectful manner to provide quality programming. Do you think that KPFA's policies and procedures for making program decisions and for program evaluations are working in a fair, collaborative, and respectful manner? You'll have 2 minutes to answer the question.
Thank you. This is the big question on programming. So the local station board is involved in some ways with programming, but really program decisions based on the Pacifica Employee Handbook are made by station management. And there are many ways that listeners like yourselves contribute and let us know about programming. Many listeners write in by email to the management and the local station board and let us know what your preferences are. You give feedback and concerns. Listeners can also go to the website and submit a podcast pilot or a program proposal, or we bring interns into this station to work in different programs in the news department, in operations. So there are many ways that the community contributes to programming. I'm on the National Programming Committee for Pacifica, and we make programming recommendations at that level for the whole network. One of the things that we've been working on is news programming and having drive time, powerful drive time news programming at all the Pacifica stations. And we look at the criteria for that, and we look at ratings, we look at surveys, we look at the production quality, the engagement, the topics. I think some important topics are going to be voter suppression issues coming up in 2020. I think Climate emergency is a major issue that we need to be addressing. Immigration rights, health, housing. There are so many issues that people are facing, and we want to have programming nationally. Thank you.
Thank you. Each of the remaining candidates have 30 seconds to comment on the answer. And the comment goes to Marilyn.
Yeah, I think that you as listeners to KPFA should have much more systematic methods for giving input on programming via a democratically run program council that actually works with the general manager in giving meaningful input on those decisions. I also think we need to find a way to make sure no programs are abruptly cut off without some sort of due process, as happened unfortunately with programs like Counterspin, Guns and Butter, and Twitwit Radio. We need to have more transparency in how these decisions are made and more listener input in a democratic fashion.
Thank you. Andrea?
Thanks, Carol, and I really do appreciate your openness. We do have a lot of transparency and openness for input from the community. We have an advisory council that gives us input, and we need you, the listener, to participate in that forum in order to get the word out, have more input, let the communities know what services we do provide. We're fair, we're equitable, and I would like for the listeners out there to really take time and give some input, because you could come in through the website. We've mentioned that, the advisory council. You can email us. You can then come to the meetings to give and voice your opinion.
Thank you. The next question for
don't I have a minute to
Oh,
follow
yes,
up?
you can
Thank
follow
you.
up for 1 minute.
Thank you. So I wanted to respond and say that there was a program removed, and I think a lot of people don't know that it had a speech on it that said that the Holocaust was a hoax, and that program was removed because, and there was due process. The local station board had a closed session because job performance issues based on legal considerations have to be kept confidential. But there was an investigation, and the local station board did pass a resolution saying that there was due process based on the Pacifica Employee Handbook, which is what we use as our basis for due process. I'm so sorry there is so much misinformation. And Counterspin, again, it's my understanding that that is going to be coming back. There was another...
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And the next question goes to Marilyn. Should one of the roles of the local station board be to amplify fundraising? If not, why not? If so, what is your fundraising strategy or approach?
Yeah, I think the board of the local station board's primary role is not just fundraising. It's oversight of the budget. There's a whole list of things. There's assisting in programming, and we have a development staff whose major role is the fundraising. Also, we're different from corporate boards or corporate foundation boards, where the board members are wealthy people who try to get their wealthy friends and associates to give lots of money. That's not how we operate. We depend on our listeners. And so the most important way to fundraise, I think, is to amplify our programming, to really speak to the listeners so that we can expand our listener base, so that our current listeners will be excited by what they're hearing and motivated to give more, and we can bring in new and larger numbers of listeners from different communities to bring in additional funds. And some of the ways we might do that would even be a little bit of advertising via billboards on freeways, say in the South Bay, or for example, so that people know about KPFA. A few targeted advertisements will let people know what KPFA is about, and while people are driving their cars, they may turn on the radio and listen to us and be excited by what they hear and actually give us money. So I think we can also, as board members, try to find out when people lapse their membership, contact them, and find out why is it they lapsed, and see what we can do to get them back on as a member.
Thank you. Now 30 seconds to answer or comment. Andrea?
What do you mean when you say that the board members can do that? Structurally, I'm just trying to figure out how that could happen.
1 minute to answer.
What's
One minute.
Structurally, how can the board help to
The
do
board could certainly help with following up on members who have lapsed and making phone calls and seeing why have members lapsed, or primarily I think the board is there to assist the fundraising activities of the station staff so that we can bring in our ideas and thoughts and give input and give feedback on what the staff are doing to raise funds and find out what's working, what isn't. But again, I get back to exciting, really interesting program that's different from what people hear on other media is what is going to get listeners motivated to actually join and give us money, and we need to really push for that.
Thank you. Carol, 30 seconds.
I think that outreach is the mother of fundraising, and as a board member, one of the things I do is I coordinate volunteers to go out, and I created 3 versions of program guides. So we have thousands of program guides on the street that we have distributed that tell people about what programs are at what time. And I think the more we have membership drives and we get out in the community as board members and working in the phone rooms and doing those things. I also created an event last November on conscious death and legacies.
Thank you. Okay. And our third question will go to Andrea.
Is it the same question?
It's a different question.
Oh, okay.
You have a unique question.
Oh, okay.
Pacific, and this is about Pacifica Mission and underrepresented communities. Please define underrepresented communities. How will you reach out to the underrepresented communities as a member of local station boards? And how do you plan to work to see that the KPFA airways better reflect our underrepresented communities? 2 minutes, please.
Wow, that's great, because this is my area. I want to do more outreach to the nooks and crannies of all of California, if that's the case, where people who do not have a voice, that we would first set down a plan of action as the local station board. We need to be in some kind of organized, structured way that we can target some areas that we know that we're not reaching in the community. So I want to first plan, schedule time to go to areas, and I personally would like to be there. I think board members need to be in the community, need to be out there. Once we identify areas that we do not have representation, figure out a way through a planning process to bring them in and participate with us. We all belong to different organizations, and we need to utilize that information to then grow and outreach and go to those communities, and we're looking for you to help us too.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll go to Carol. You have 30 seconds to comment.
Thank you. A couple things I've done is I created a flyer in Spanish and English to let people know about the programming that is for Latino issues, and also I have worked helping to arrange outreach for a contingent at the LGBTQ Pride Parade, and helped to arrange a lot of programming interviews with organizations like First They Came for the Homeless and Consider the Homeless. So going out into these special communities, I think, is really important. And we have a large Asian Pacific Islander community too.
Now, Marilyn, you have 30
Sure.
seconds.
I think, yeah, outreach is a very, very important aspect with underrepresented communities. And by these, we mean people who have largely been marginalized and suffered the decades of racism and economic exploitation. Through my work with the Richmond Progressive Alliance, I have a lot of experience working with many underrepresented communities, and we find out what are their issues. Often now it's housing, homelessness, it's education, it's livable wage and inclusion, reentry services for those coming from incarceration. We need to, and I, as a board member, I will expand beyond Richmond to all of the other communities served by KPFA and find out what is it are the issues that are really important to them, and those are the issues we need to focus on in our programming.
Thank you. Our next round of questions will start with Marilyn. Marilyn, for 2 minutes. What do you think are the practical implications of membership rights with respect to the station's decision-making process?
Yeah, I think our membership, that's the core of who we are. We're a listener-supported radio station, and so our listeners, our members are key constituents, and they should have a voice, as I've said earlier, through representation on the local station board and representation on a program council that will give systematic and serious input on programming decisions. Also, the members need to be informed about the financial status of the station and all of the budgeting issues, and to know really upfront what is going on. I know there were a couple of years when the audits were late, and this is very concerning, but the members need to know about this. There need to be a place on the website where they can access all of this information, the financial information. They need to have clear access to all of the minutes of the local station board meetings as well as the Pacifica National Board meetings, and opportunities to participate via observation and actually know about this in advance and also see all the minutes. So we need to have members engaged and have avenues for finding out what are their key concerns. And this is one of the main things I'll want to do as a local station board member, is listen to our members. I've worked with community organizing in Richmond for many, many years, and we've had lots and lots of town halls. I know that KPFA has some town halls. I think they're very important for getting that real active participation and meaningful participation from our members in a two-way street. Not just that we're listening to them, but also they're listening to us, and what they're telling us is being taken seriously. Very, very important.
Thank you. Andrea, you have 30 seconds to respond or ask a question.
All of the areas that you mentioned, we are doing. Now what we need to do is to improve upon them. And that's what the local station board will work towards. I'm currently on the board right now, and these areas have come up. Members' rights, we try to bring on staff to advise us on what's happening. And then we can give our input to staff. And it's been pretty good in learning how staff will have some challenges. And I feel so good that they are sharing those challenges with us to follow up on as a local station board that I'm experiencing now.
Carol, 30 seconds.
Yes, I post all the minutes. So let me also say the KPFA has about 15,500 members. Some of the other stations have like between 5,000 and 7,000 members. The East Coast stations are behind in paying their central service fees that they owe. So what is happening nationally with 5 other stations is that they are having 4 directors on the national board. And I want proportional representation based on membership.
Thank you very much. Andrea, the next question is for you.
Proportional membership or what?
Next question?
Yes.
Policy development is the topic. What areas of policy do you think are most in need of development, and what would you prioritize to improve station operations and functionality? 2 minutes, please.
I would bring staff and the local station board together to do a strategic planning session so that we can figure out some of the areas that we need to develop or enhance or delete policy. And I would definitely go for us having a retreat where we can come together and figure out how we can move forward strategically on some of the areas that we would need to follow up on, whether it's how do we deal, how should we deal with our listeners in terms of making sure that they have some avenue to really truly access us on a regular basis, or if there are any issues that we may have that any listener may not have had the opportunity to find out about our fundraising or how to have input into the station. This is a way that we can enhance our growth, our way of functioning as a local station board, working with staff and having the input from community for policy development.
Thank you.
Retreat.
Carol, you have 30 seconds.
I would like to improve communication and the way people work together. KPFA has 270 about unpaid staff, about 30 paid staff, an amazing group of managers, diverse, skilled, knowledgeable about broadcasting, and I hope that we can find ways to collaborate and work together in positive ways.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And collaboration is so urgent.
Exactly.
Thank you. And Marilyn?
Yeah, I think one of the key things I'd like to do on the LSB is encourage our LSB to actually follow the bylaws and do what we're supposed to do. The LSB is supposed to do an annual written evaluation of the general manager, which, as I understand, has not happened over every year for the last 5 years. We're supposed to screen a pool of candidates for the program director. This has not happened in the last year. We're supposed to work with the station management in developing programming that follows Pacifica's mission. I think we need to have a stronger role in working with the manager on that. And we certainly need to have save the Pacifica network, prevent it from falling apart.
Thank you. And the next question will be for Carol. In your opinion, how healthy or unhealthy is KPFA financially? And how would you describe the financial problems in a nutshell? And how do you propose to start resolving these problems?
Yes, thank you. This is the big question also. So KPFA's building is at risk, and I'm just going to read this. Threatens the future of our programming, and our network is threatened. That we have 230 affiliates that use KPFA's programming, and if our building is lost, that's a serious thing. And our the foundation obtained a about $3,200,000 loan from a lender. And how are we going to pay off that loan? And we need to assess. And this is going to be some very hard questions. Do we want to give up the KPFA building, which has been mortgaged, to pay off this loan? Or are there other alternatives? And one way is to really increase drive time programming and do amazing outreach across the network to see if we can pull together enough resources to be able to make our way through this loan. We have a huge loan payment coming up, and we have stations that are still not functioning. So how do we do that? And I think it's going to take a major effort, and it's going to take major collaboration nationally. And I thank Andrea for being on the national board when she was, and all the hard work she did, and all the other people on the national board that are working to try and make Pacifica strong again.
Thank you very much. Marilyn?
Yeah, I agree. It will take a lot of collaboration nationally for everybody putting their heads together and pulling as much as we can. I believe the very last thing we should ever do is give up any of our 5 radio franchises, radio stations. Pacifica Network was founded in 1949 with 5 stations in major cities in the U.S., and we have over 200 affiliates around the country. Those 5 licenses are the last thing we should ever give up, because once we lose any of them, they're gone forever. And so let's put our heads together, let's work together, let's increase our membership, increase our fundraising, and get our auditing and financing and accounting up to date so we really have a clear picture of where we stand. And you know, if some cuts need to be made somewhere, let's do it collaboratively, causing the least pain to the least number of people. But definitely we need to save the Pacifica Network.
Andrea?
I totally agree that we need to save Pacifica, the network. But we must sit down and strategically develop a plan of action that works for everyone. As a United Independent Radio candidate, I am definitely for us coming together. I'm definitely for us developing plans of action. I am for us to figure out how we can deal with our loan concerns so that we will not lose KPFA. I thank you, Carol, for all of your hard work in trying to bring us together and outlining some of the specific areas that we have to follow up on. We must move positively. I'm hearing some of the negative, but we must always move forward on the positive, and that's what you're going to hear from me all the way through this.
Thank you very much. Before our candidates have their 1-minute closing statements, I wanted to let you know a few dates. The ballots will be sent to all KPFA members on August the 15th and need to be returned by October the 15th. Please visit elections.pacifica.org for more information on the KPFA elections. We also want to let you know that all viable candidates have been invited to participate. Today we had 3 candidates, and we'll have other candidate forums to follow. So now we're ready to start in reverse order, and we'll start with Andrea for her 1-minute closing statement. Are you ready?
Sure.
Sure. And you can address the camera.
Okay. I'm asking for your vote, along with my other candidates, for the United Independent Radio Station candidates. We have a plan of action, and we're calling on you to help us carry it out, along with the rest of our board. We collaborate with others. We're reaching out to make this possible. I'm a community activist. I'm with a lot of community groups, East Bay Peace Action, Vukani Mowetu, and also work with the Haitian groups as well. Please give us a chance to carry it out, and I'm saying that from my heart. We do have a plan. We are moving forward. We are positive, and we will take these challenges and try to make them doable, livable for all of us. Keep KPFA alive.
Thank you very much. Marilyn?
I'm Marilyn Langlois. Local organizing, international solidarity, and peace activism have been my focus for the past 20 years. I'm a co-founder of the Richmond Progressive Alliance and worked for Richmond's former mayor, Gail McLaughlin. As a member of the Haiti Action Committee, Task Force on the Americas, and SOA Watch, I've helped shine a light on U.S. atrocities in our hemisphere. I've worked as a community mediator, volunteered on the GI Rights Hotline, and belonged to the Transcend International Network for Peaceful Conflict Transformation. The world I want for future generations will ensure a dignified life for everyone, free of greed-fueled wars and exploitation. Stories of resistance from our own communities and throughout the world need to be amplified. On the LSB, I'll advocate expanding KPFA's role in exposing pervasive corporate media deceptions while envisioning a more humane way of living on our planet. I support the Rescue Pacifica platform and urge your vote for the Rescue Pacifica candidates. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol?
I'm Carol Wolfley, Secretary of the local station board, and I am a roll up your sleeves and get to work person.
Yeah.
I helped solve a flooding crisis in the building a few years ago, and I work with a lot of people in the community and a lot of organizations, and one of the things I want to work on is community engagement and partnerships with different organizations. So, and the drive time programming nationally, and to continue to do outreach. I ask you to vote for me, and I hope to meet you and hear from you and hear what you would like KPFA to be. Thank you, and thanks and please support our United for Independent Radio candidates.
Thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. Please visit KPFA website to watch or listen to the remainder of the candidates' conversations available to you. The views expressed during this program are those of the candidates, not of KPFA. I'd like to thank Ann Laser from the League of Women Voters of Marin County, and thank you for watching. I'm Vita Flores from the League of Women Voters of the Bay Area.